Italy is defying Brussels and sticking to its big spending budget for next year. The European Commission had set a Tuesday deadline for a revised plan after rejecting Rome's proposal last month to boost welfare spending that would blow out the deficit to 2.4% of GDP. Italy has refused to comply with the EU, standing firm on the country's anti-austerity plans, but announced it'd sell public real estate assets to raise cash. Rome's populist government insists the budget will help kickstart growth in the Eurozone's third largest economy and reduce its deficit and huge debt of $2.6 trillion. The EU now has to decide if it will go ahead and punish Italy with fines that could be worth billions of dollars.
Our target is to keep the 2.4% deficit, and we're committing to maintain that. But the news I want to give to Italians is that the universal income, pensions, savers who were victims of the previous government scams on banks, all these measures are not going to change and will go ahead to make 2019 a year of change.
Well, Michele Geraci joins me now from London. He's Italy's Under-Secretary of State for Economic Development, and he's also an economist at the University of Nottingham. Welcome to the program. So we now have a proper showdown between Italy and the EU, but even before this Tuesday deadline passed, there were no signs that Rome was really going to make any changes to its big spending budget, which includes massive welfare spending and tax cuts. Explain to us, why is the government so committed to this budget?
Well, we are committed to this budget because we have witnessed over the last 20 years zero GDP real growth for the average Italian citizens. Today's standard of living is the same as that we had back in 1999. So the question is, do we want to continue like we did in the past, or do we want to change and try to improve the standard of living of our citizens, improve the economy of the country, and as a result also make Europe a little bit more stable, because Europe needs stable countries. Europe is not an abstract concept of someone living in Brussels. Europe is made up by 28 countries, and it is in the interest of Europe to have 28 stable, healthy, sustainable countries. And so what we're doing is in line, I think, with what should be the objective of the Union and the objective of our countries. And we have seen that austerity does not work. We do know now, I think everyone agrees, all economists have now changed their minds and know that when something is not working, we need to spend. And in order to spend, we need to borrow. And if we borrow, we have to go on deficit. In my view, it's really very simple. If we don't go on deficit, the economy will not grow, will stagnate. And you said massive, but it's only 2.4% of GDP for 1 year, then going down. We're not talking really a lot of money. We're talking billions, which is significant, but it's not going to make or break the budget of a country.
But that's if it all goes according to plan. There are fears from Italy's central bank governor, as well as the IMF, that this whole plan could backfire because Italy's borrowing costs may be increased. We've seen Rome's borrowing costs spike after this coalition government came to power in June, and it could go up even further as foreign investors lose faith that this government is being responsible. Isn't that a real danger?
It's something that, of course, is a risk that we have looked at because borrowing cost is an important element. I cannot predict. I think investors should be reminded that Italy is the only country almost in the world that has a primary surplus almost every year. Almost every country in the world. There are other exceptions, but in Europe is really, I know this may sound unusual, is the one that has the best fiscal policy. No other country has primary surplus for as many years as Italy has had. So investors that do buy Italian government bonds should focus on the fundamentals, not just on the rumors. The only reason why interest rates are now a little bit high is because there has been this friction, because we are new in the government and people, quite rightly, they need to understand a little bit what we are doing, and we are changing things. And when there is change, there's a little bit of uncertainty. Yes. So I do justify a little bit of anxiety in the bond market.
And
but once things are settled...
Can I interrupt you there briefly? I'm sorry, we're running out of time. But just a quick question about Brussels' reaction, because there are fears that they may impose fines worth billions of dollars. Are you worried that Brussels may go ahead with this punishment?
No, but I think the solution will be a nice compromise whereby we will, no one maybe wants to rock the boat. So I think we will go ahead for the next for the first 6 months of the next year with to check if our forecasts are indeed correct. Comes the summer. Brussels can look back at these numbers. We said 1.5 GDP growth for the whole 2019. By June, we will see if we are on track with these. If we are, the issue disappears. If we are not on track, so if really our GDP is not going to be as high as we believe, then we will adjust the deficit so that it will never, under no circumstance, exceed the 2.4. That is the absolute ceiling. So I don't think there is an issue. Just give us time to prove that our forecast may work.
Okay, we will see how the European Commission responds in due course. Michele Geraci in London, thank you again for your time.